noises, please excuse them. Talking about conclusions now, there are a couple of different elements to the conclusion that you need to be aware of. The first one is a little bugbear of mine. It's the in conclusion. I hate that phrase. It's so annoying. It's obviously a conclusion if it's at the end of your essay, so don't say in conclusion. If you do, you're not going to get marked down. It's just a little annoyance. There's lots of other words you can use, like ultimately, essentially, etc. It sort of undermines the tone that you've set up to that point to use something cliche. It's like saying at the end of the day. It's just really cliche. The next thing I want you to be aware of is that you would start with a general comment. So a general recap of the essay, the contention. Use fresh words for this. Sort of think about the message that you've got up to that point. Look back at how you've started your topic sentences. Let them guide you in the way you reshape that general comment about the essay. Then you want to summarize or give an overview of your topic sentences. Look beyond them though. I actually find the linking sentences a little bit more helpful when giving it that summary. It does not have to be long. A conclusion can be 2 sentences long. Okay? It's just a way to tidy it up at the end. Unlike a language analysis, a conclusion is essential in a text response essay because you are not analysing a piece that comes to its own end. What you need to make sure you do when you're ending your conclusion is to have a definitive statement. You need a big picture mic drop moment, like dropping the mic. You want to leave your audience with a lingering thought. This lingering thought can be a statement or it can be a quote, but it's the thing that sums up basically why your essay was important enough to read. So it's easy enough for me to tell you that that's what goes in the conclusion. You guys probably already know this, but doing it is a different thing. A lot of people get stuck when it comes to the conclusion. Let's have a look at some samples, shall we? Here's a high-range sample conclusion. In these 2 works, change looks stymied at first appearance because both endings echo the status quo. In reality, as each work is able to demonstrate because of its structure, change is visible as a dormant shadow waiting to be ignited. It's very descriptive, this conclusion, but I still like it. The need for change is established as the status quo is unpacked and the flaws in the current system are exposed to the audience. So it's basically, at this point, it's summarising its points. So here's 1, the flaws in the current system. Here's another, the recognition that change is needed. This is also tempered by the lengths Deguara and Wright go to in demonstrating why change is so slow. This was obviously their contrast one because it hasn't got a particular idea. It's just about the way that they go about demonstrating why change is slow. In each work, these 3 elements can be witnessed, indicating that while change is not dominant in these works, its force is dormant. So you can use that phrase, in each work, these 3 elements can be witnessed, indicating that, and then that can be your final statement. Here's a mid-range sample. In conclusion, black diggers and the longest memory at first glance both look like change doesn't occur. But in reality, so it's quite simple, the phrasing, but in reality there are glimpses of change shown through people who see a problem with society as it is, especially the young. The audience see a need for change through the bad things that happen. Notice the really simple phrasing, bad, good, the spelling errors, and through these horrible and through these herb events, the authors are also able to explain why change is so slow. While we don't see much change occur, both authors clearly call for an end to slavery and for equality for Indigenous Australians. You can see that this does tick the box in terms of a conclusion. It's fine, it's just not high. It's a mid-range. And yes, this actually happened. A student actually wrote this conclusion. They heard me say in class, conclusions can be short, and so they wrote 1 sentence. It's misspelling the author's name, using the terrible I think phrase, but at least they didn't start with in conclusion. Overall is the way they started. Overall, I think that Dagger and Wright have both shown that change needs to happen, but that it hasn't yet. I know, cringe. Here are a couple of templates. It doesn't have to be something amazingly unique. Your conclusion is just wrapping up, so feel free to use one of these two templates. This template here, while there is some evidence in text 1 and text 2 that insert your contrast idea, the text overwhelmingly suggests that ID 1 and ID 2. Both texts, although they differ significantly in genre, style and content, show through their plots and the characters' experiences that insert your mic drop moment. The one I prefer is the second one, simply because I remember it much more easily. It's just they're both on par in terms of being able to create an excellent conclusion, but the second one I find easier. When one considers ID1, ID2 and ID3, it's clear that Deguar and Wright advocate for, against, insert theme. So advocate for justice, advocate against racism, yeah? Advocate for remembering. In each work, these three elements can be witnessed, indicating that ultimately, mic drop moment. So feel free to use those conclusion templates. I still use them to this day. I use them throughout university very successfully. Conclusions don't have to be brilliant, they just have to be simple, summing it up, not dodgy in your vocab, not dodgy in the way that you spell the author's names, just to the point. Hope that has helped, and I will see you later.
I was thinking about the band, I was thinking about the fans. We were underground, loading merch in that 12-passenger van, in a small club in Minnesota, and the snow outside of First Ave. I just wanted my name and a star. Now look at where we at, still growing up, still growing